Good evening and welcome to the first meeting of Attleborough's Illumination Committee membership we've got tonight. Apologies for absence. I believe Councillor Bond is not doing too well, so probably won't be with us this evening. Declarations of interest? No declarations? Thank you very much. First order of business, election of a chair. Are there any nominations for a chair? Councillor Lane?
I'd like to nominate you, Phil.
Okay. Councillor Tyrant?
I'd like to nominate myself.
Nominate yourself. Is there a seconder for those nominations?
Second, Phil.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Right, okay, so we've got notes of that.
Well, I just for the record say thank you, but I think just in terms of chair of events and what have you, it just takes.
You'd rather me not second you?
No, I'm saying yes, thank you.
I'm right. Sorry, I'm right.
I'm just saying in terms of you being chair of events and what have you, I think it just takes that pressure off. If you know what I mean.
Debbie nominated myself.
Oh, did she? Oh, sorry.
So sorry. We'll cast a bit of an illumination on this, shall we? Councillor Lane, seconded by Councillor Dale. And Ed was nominated by himself and seconded by Councillor Lane. I'm not sure the protocols on that.
So you can do that.
I don't think you can.
Oh, right.
That's where I got confused.
Yes,
Yes,
sorry.
yes,
Without a seconder for that, because I've already been nominated, probably would be right to do so. It probably only puts myself forward as the candidate. However, we should do a vote for a show of hands for approval for myself to be the chair of the committee. Those in favour? Those opposed? And abstain. Councillor Tyrant. Election for deputy chair. Any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Vera, but I haven't asked you if you want to.
No, I don't think so. I don't think I can find that. So. Sorry.
Councillor Tyrant?
I'd like to nominate myself.
Okay. Now you can second that nomination if you want to this time.
Well, I was going to nominate myself.
All right, so you nominate yourself. Okay. Any seconders for those nominations?
Well, it's a bit difficult.
I know it's a small committee as chair. I'm trying to remain impartial here, to be honest. So,
I was second, Debbie. Sorry, Ed.
okay. As chair, I am trying to remain impartial to this. I feel it's fair to do so. So, with that nomination for Debbie, there isn't a second for Councillor Tyra. If we could have a show of hands for approval for Councillor to be deputy chair. You can vote for yourself.
You can vote for yourself.
Yes. Those opposed and abstain. Councillor Tyra. So, Councillor Lane, you're deputy. You're very welcome to stay where you are or come over here.
Can I just say, but this will all happen again after elections, so that.
Yes, you will.
Yeah. So
It's
All the committees. So it
yeah.
could be shortest term for a chair.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
However, we are trying to do this. The one and only item of business about this evening, particularly the times that we've got, is the committee has been set up to meet with and coordinate the Christmas lights and illumination for Attleborough Town. And we obviously want to have a good meeting with the Christmas Lights Committee initially. Yeah. We feel that's a good place to start with before we do anything further. Yes.
Sorry. Just for clarification, this committee is not there to arrange and organise the Christmas lights, which is what you just said. Yes, meet with.
Sorry, I thought we would meet with review.
Yes, but just what you said in terms of people watching.
Right, I didn't believe I gave that impression, Councillor Tarrant. So what we need to do now is have a look at the agenda that we'd like to have, which will be communicated with them prior to this meeting anyway. That doesn't matter if it's been a matter of public record. And it's really to go through the information that was provided to councillors and with any recommendations on what we would like to discuss or highlight, but not limit to the discussions with the Christmas Light Committee. Okay. Does anyone have any suggestions for the agenda or anything that they would like to raise? Yes.
I'm obviously not a councillor, but I just think for clarification and fairness to the Christmas Lights Committee, where concerns have been raised, it might be wise to formulate a series of questions that can be put to the Christmas Lights Committee, because it might be that some of the answers then leave council to completely with you.
Yeah.
So I think it's only fair that councillors understand what questions they want the Light Committee to answer, so they can come prepared for that.
Exactly, which is part of this here. So, what are those questions?
Well, I think that, I don't know how you word this, but first of all, are they happy to work, with us on this?
Yeah.
They might, do you know what I mean? That's the
I
fundamental.
suppose that's fundamental question is, yeah.
And are there other members of the community that like to work on it? I don't know if it's prudent to invite the lady that organises the Christmas carnival. I don't know.
I think that's maybe a little bit beyond what this item is on the agenda,
Yes.
and we ought to keep it strictly
Yeah,
within that.
okay.
If you speak to Joe, he said, she's up to right, she does all that, and it's two, although they link together, it's two separate.
Yeah.
And she's
And-
quite happy doing all
Yes,
that.
she
so that's
is.
great.
And it may be that leads into it afterwards. But initially, it's a find out meeting, an initial contact meeting with the lighting committee in a more formal setting, so we can ascertain some information and inform us on directions that we're going to go. So yes, one, are they willing to meet with us? And if so, there's some things that we do need to clarify from the report. Ownership of the lights,
Yeah, I agree with that.
the ongoing storage and maintenance of said lights.
Yeah.
Councillor Tyra, yes.
I think I've always been nervous about this. I expressed that at the last meeting. If the town council wants to get involved and it's not takeover big, sadly, do you see that as possibly the case? I might be wrong, hopefully I'm wrong. Because you can apply that to any community group or what have you in terms of giving money or what have you. What do we expect? The key question is, what are the fundamental concerns of the town council of giving this money, and let them respond to that.
I do think the ownership of the lights is a valid question.
Well, if I can finish, you're quite right, it's asking those questions. And has the town council always owned those lights? I don't know, so it's probably a question. But it's having an open and honest discussion of these are the concerns. If the town council annually give you some money that has got to be agreed by all councillors, for the benefit of the town, these are our concerns. Can you satisfy those concerns? Then after that, we can have another discussion in terms of how do we deal with that. At the moment, we don't know. But we've set a committee up to overlook another committee to say we want to be involved, and do we own the lights? Do we do this? Do we do that? I think that's the first step. And that's my question of what is the role of this committee? Is it to formalise taking over, or is it to ask those informal questions first of all, and then we can find out how do we work forward? Because this principle of setting a committee up for a committee and some things can apply to other
I
community
don't know why you're looking at me.
Sorry, I'm not.
Sorry, it's looking quite
It's not
targeted,
personal.
sorry.
Yeah. No, it's not personal, but you asked the question. So, that's my question. And it's not antagonistic in any shape, way, or form. I think we just need to be careful in terms of what we're saying, what we're asking, why we're doing it, what we're trying to do here, where this goes.
Well, the first, as far as I see it, the first meeting is about establishing facts.
Agreed.
We need to know the facts, and seeing if there is a possibility for us to have cordial relationships going forward.
Agreed. But can I ask, if you're not happy with that, the Attleborough Town Rights Committee, like the Summer Carnival Committee, still have the right to run that event without the town committee.
Absolutely. But that may impact the funding that we give it,
Absolutely.
which
Agreed.
is within our remit.
Agreed.
So
I think it's just trying to tone down the rhetoric. So I think it's got lost in the translation somewhere.
I know you repeat this, Ed. I'm really struggling to see where the rhetoric is coming from, because it certainly isn't from us. And this is a long-standing issue that hasn't really been resolved or bottomed out, with significant sums of money coming from taxpayers to pay for, that would normally be scrutinised far higher than they have been up until now. And what we're trying to do, like we've done in many other instances in the root and branch review of the council, is ensure that when we're passing this over to new council in the later this year, that we're not doing so with long-standing issues that could have been resolved, and we chose not to. So that's really it. Yes,
Can I say two things?
of course.
I think we've all got to be, not take sides with anybody. It's got to be down the middle. Whoever you are, you don't take sides, it's got to be down the middle. And the other thing is, we had this problem with Jeff Ellis when Jeremy Burton was mayor. We had a meeting with Jeff and, Avril, about exactly the same thing, where the money was going, how much they wanted, and it was a large sum to give to a group that they had no control of. And Jeremy Burton was mayor, and I went with him, and it was Jeff and Avril, and we had a long discussion about exactly the same thing all those years ago. So it's just gone on and on and on. And it would be nice to have it clarified one way or the other.
It would. And I know from doing the review on this and going through the papers that I've done as part of the organisation of this committee, is that wasn't ever bottomed out. It's a bit of an open sore. And what we really need is some clarity. And as soon as you've got clarity, it allows you to make good and informed decisions. No decisions have been made by this committee, nor by the council. This is not the intent for it to have some sort of hidden agenda or things that I have heard people accuse us of in this regard. This is simply good practice. This is really about this.
I totally agree with that, because every time I say public body, we give money out, we've got to be accountable for it.
Yeah.
I've known that, you know.
Yeah.
30 odd years working in the public sector, I totally get it.
Yeah.
I just think I'm talking to other people, and not the obvious ones that you might say, oh, well, blah, 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 total random people. I think it's been perceived differently in terms of why we've got a specific committee to do this. Let's do a committee for every social event that we do. In terms of questioning, quite rightly, because you know, you could argue, you know, like councils, you have a compliance committee and everything else, or a finance and budget committee. Totally get it. I just think we're sadly we've got in ourselves a position whereby there's a lot of mistruths going on. Now we need to get out of it. And as you say, come May, there'll be a new committee, there'll be new councillors, some might be the same, might be different ones. But no, over my God knows how many years since 2009, you know, I do feel nervous. How
I don't think those concerns are valid. However, I do take on board what you're saying. Councillor Lane, because I want to get to the agenda point.
Right, I just want to say that, as chair of events, and our mandate for events is to support communities and then community events. And the last thing as a town council you want to do is to be running even more events. And the more events that we can get people to take over, the better. However, as Councillor Dale has pointed out, this situation has been an ongoing concern for a lot of years. And I think it needs attention now, and questions need answers to. And as Phil has said, there may be answers that we didn't know, and that we're satisfied with those answers, and we can work with the Christmas Light Committee moving forward and supporting them. However, within the pack, we don't actually have any official representation on that committee. And when there's a large amount of money, the taxpayers' money being spent, and we have to show due diligence and be accountable for that money, for every single penny of that money, and make sure that we are getting value for money. And I think that's the underlying thing with this, is doing a root and branch investigation to ensure that we can hand on heart say to the taxpayers of Attleborough, yes, we feel as a town council this expenditure is justified. That's how I see it.
And I'm just sorry, I'm just conscious we've only got
Yes.
15 minutes.
Let's focus on the vote. I think the ownership of the lights, which we've had some answers back, but they contradict some information we've had historically as well, needs to be bottomed out. We need to have an answer on this because there is conflicting information on this matter that needs to be resolved. Another matter that you touched upon is representation. Is it something, as was suggested by Councillor Wenham when we were having this debate in the council meeting, is representation something that committee would be willing to have to allow liaisons officially with the town council? So representation on the council, be on the committee.
Can I add to that, that if we had official representation where there were members voted on to that committee by full council, we would then have a better line of communication. And I think communication is one of the issues that's been raised. So therefore, if we did have official representation, communication would come back to the officers and the councillors throughout the year, and that I think would solve a lot of problems.
So
it's unofficial at the moment.
Yeah,
But by having that mandated role,
mandated. Yeah.
it does make things a lot better.
So it's a question. Well, I totally agree with all that. I'm not here trying to be. I'm raising the obvious questions. Quite rightly as a council challenge. In terms of representation, I get that. You could argue there are 2 councillors on the committee already. The question is, does it need a 3rd person? And the reasons are ABC. Yeah.
I would argue they're not officially, they're not on there. If you check back through the crack, there was a point where Councillor Ellis was supposed to bring it to full council to get some official representation.
Okay, but this is where we need to go through. And I also want to get it right. Get it correct, because it's got a bit messy. There's no doubt about it, but let's just be honest, it's got messy. I don't think there's anything underhand and then shake weight. All I think it's just got messy. It's always been messy, many years, under numerous leaderships. Let's get it sorted, fine, but let's do it in a way that the mandate of the town council, of we support community groups, they're in charge. We will do what we can do to help and support you, not be seen as taking you over or anything else.
Can I just make a comment?
Yes, of course.
Sorry, Ed, and I don't mean this person, you've said this about 3 times tonight now. Let me be absolutely clear, I have no wish to run Christmas lights. I don't have the staff to run Christmas lights, so there's no takeover bid coming from the council.
I'm not saying you are.
Okay,
It's a town council decision. It's not a town club decision.
We don't have
No.
the resource to do that anyway.
Michelle, I get that, and I'm not suggesting that.
I just want to clarify that.
I'm not suggesting that and then shake weight
Okay.
at all.
Just wanted
because-
to clarify that.
No. Absolutely, and
Okay.
that's not what I'm saying, it's more of a town council.
Good.
So we can,
Town clerk
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
Okay.
well,
well, at least we've got some clarity on those points, because that's what some of the rumours were going around, and I feel it's fair that, thank you, Michelle, for getting that out. You know,
And I think that's useful
Yeah.
as well, so thanks.
Yeah. This is really just about due diligence, good practice, and having something that's robust for the future.
Which should happen across the board, then we
with,
do.
with everybody. The reason this has been set up particular on this one is because there was a specific review for this one. This committee will last as many meetings as it needs to get to a resolution. And if it is one or two more meetings, it's one or two more meetings. It isn't meant to be a long-standing committee of the council. Like the investigation committee of days gone past, of which I was a member, it's set up for a purpose. Once its purpose is fulfilled, I envisage it to be closed. All right, so let's clarify that from the beginning as well. The yes, representation, see if they're open to council appointed representation on there. We know that it's kind of unofficial in the middle at the moment. The other things that we like to have the question about, or at least one of my questions is, are they willing to open up to discuss things with other community groups so they can engage with other community groups? Is this something that we could help facilitate and accommodate as their group? Another question on their formation is, would they consider forming a charitable status, which then makes it a lot easier going forward, both on a financial position and also our position in supporting them.
yeah, that's a really good point.
So
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
good. Are they open to that? And do they have the means of doing so? And it's just a good question of that. You know, I know that it's very easy to support charities because, you know, there's a certain amount of governance and fiscal responsibility and accounting that has to happen. When it's a community group without a charity status, it leaves the door open for a bit of a grey area that we are trying to close.
Can I have another comment? I mean, on the bigger picture, it raises questions, you know, using this, let's take as an example. As the town grows, we do other stuff. What are the best opportunities or best vehicles for community groups with the town council supporting them, Brecon and everything else, doing things? You know, so it is, as you rightly say, route review, branch review, everything else. What can we do better? Not, yes, you've got it wrong and we can change things. It's what can we do? And if it's amalgamating this with other things and, you know, some can't, we've got all these different committees doing their best, putting the time and effort in. Is there a better way of doing it? And what can we do as a town council to help and support and finance if necessary?
Absolutely. And
That's it.
the
And I
lessons
think that's the message we need to get out there.
and the lessons we learned from this process could easily then be rolled over and adapted into helping others as well.
Go and look at what happens elsewhere. So, you know, because there's a lot of pressures, and I know a lot of people in the community put time and effort into doing this. Yeah, how can we make it better? You know,
Just in the interest of, I take on board what you're saying, and that's why I'm so keen to get this done, because good practice here can be transferred, you know, can be utilised and move forward. So there's a couple of other things. Sponsorship I would like to raise.
Yeah.
One of the things that is noted is that as the largest sponsor of the lighting events for numerous years, the town council, at least as far as I'm aware in the last few years, has not been mentioned really in the sponsorship of it. And it's not about us, but it's just about aware of connecting what we're doing with the community.
Or could I just add a point to that? Also, supporting them with fundraising. That's another thing. So I think they do the sponsorship as a fundraising thing, whereas prior to Jeff passing, he would be running events to fundraise. So that's
So we did, yes, so
they
can we put that down separately? It's
Yeah.
fundraising opportunities.
well, yeah, because I know what, you know, approaching for sponsorship too, because they need more money than we can give them, which is understandable. So I think fundraising opportunities would be very important as well, that we can support them with.
That's about my list. things on it, yes.
Would you like me to read those out for a resolution?
Is there anybody else? Any other suggestions? No? I think that's a really good starting point for where we can have a discussion. So yes, if you could read those out.
Okay, so we've got the first element is, are you happy to work with us into build forging relationships going forward? We've got a comment about establishing the ownership of lights. We've got a comment about storage and maintenance and sort of information if we can help with that. We've got the query about representation and liaison, would they be open to that? Are they willing to discuss engagement with other community groups? Would they consider or are they able to form a charitable status? Sponsorship and fundraising opportunities.
Do they go out at the moment to the 3 electricians? 'Cause
No.
they don't.
Well, they did this year because we asked them
Oh,
to. And so to be, yeah.
Should that be, if the money is
I
going?
think that might overstep the mark
Oh,
at this
okay.
stage. And the reason I explain that is, we don't ask the same questions. None of this team with others when they're doing it. But I think those are the list of valid questions, and the good governance of that can come later.
Can I just put the top of that list is what would you like the town council to do to support for helping?
Okay, yeah.
So I think that was,
What would you like from the town council?
And there is one more as well.
because that's what we're here to do. And I think at the moment there's miscommunication.
Absolutely, 100%.
And I think one of the things that links to this, I made a note but not with me, is that clear lines of clear roles and responsibilities.
Lines of communication.
Yeah, lines of communication, roles and responsibilities, mitigation and cover for liabilities. Who's responsible for what?
And it might be covered, but at least we know.
And then we can have that listed down as part of, this is a process.
And I think if that kind of framework works and we're happy with it, then it can apply to everything. Be it hard or soft or very, very soft or, it's like, if you want the town council to help you, that's kind of
I feel it.
the framework.
Yeah, and it is a framework. It's a good governance.
So back to
framework.
your communications and community groups, so if the
Yeah,
town
so
council engages.
I'm mindful of time.
My only other thing is, I'm mindful of the year ticking along, and the sooner we can get this resolved, the better. So the sooner we can try and get.
Can we aim to get this done by the first meeting by the end of April? Let's put a time scale on that. By the end of
What's to meet again before
meet with them.
with them
With them,
before our next full meeting.
with the present.
March is.
We're in March.
2 weeks.
Shall we say, can we meet in 4 weeks? Within 4 weeks? And that gives us an opportunity to do that, after which we will then convene another
There's going to
meeting.
be 2 pro and then you've got re-elections.
Then we'll convene another meeting. And we'll be able to. Solidify that. That's what that's all it may take.
Well, I'll propose what
We've listed.
what we've listed.
I'm very happy to second that. And a show of hands for approval. It's unanimous.
Can I just ask, who is going to meet with them? Everybody or?
The lighting committee,
Two?
I think as a committee, it'd be nice to have the committee.
I think you should ask them.
What, would they rather just have 1 or 2 people on the whole committee? Okay.
I think just be totally open. and say,
Yeah, so as many.
the first meeting should be Carlton's only gone. Let's have a chat.
Can we ask if the full committee could attend though?
And that's just so you get more input from
And you get
everybody.
some people.
You do, and you put names to faces.
Yeah,
don't
we
you?
will.
I'll let them see what they can come
Yeah.
to.
I just offer it like
Yeah.
open meeting, everyone there, Carlton table.
Yeah.
And it will be forming law, installing.
And
Yes, it will.
that will be exposed.
Yeah.
Okay, just not.
Okay.
Okay, then thank you very much. That's the end of the meeting. Thank you.